guys, Westy here. Hey look, I just wanted to show you a bit of a scenario. A guy's given me this HK 450 Pro here. I don't know if you can see that. It's a 450 Pro GT. And he just wanted me to set it up, but I kind of won't fly anything without checking it all out, make sure it's airworthy. Anyway, upon doing that, I found that there was a problem with the auto-rotation gear, this one here. Now I just want to show you the difference between the difference in quality and thinking process between the Align product and the copies. And this here is the assembly from the HK 450. Now why I pulled this up and it failed my little flight test is because if you have a look here, if I put a shaft, I'll just grab a shaft and put it through. If you have a look here, I don't know if you can see this. I'll try and zoom down so you can. If you have a look here, can you see all that play there? Well, when I was spinning it up just by hand, that play was really bad. So if you have a look closely, you can see that it's moving on the plastic is moving on the outside sleeve. So when you take that apart and you pull that out and you have a look in here, it's got a pretty grossly machined shaft, and it's actually got a really poor fit on this plastic here when it's in here. You can actually see that moving there. Okay, now a different design of the Align, I actually upgraded this to an Align one, so that's going to get biffed. So in the Align one, we've got the one-way bearing gears, and also if you have a look at the base, that's actually a metal insert that they've put inside here. Now I actually had to purchase also a brand new sleeve as well. So what that does is that goes down into here, into this assembly here, and this here slides down like so. Right, so that's actually quite, and when you put a shaft in there now, if you see here, there's no play at all. It's actually a true running bearing. There's no play in this at all. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys that, and that was something like I think that was 27 bucks for that, and man, just the difference in engineering and design, just the thought gone into the design process. It's just, that's what these guys actually, you know, kept coming up with these ideas, and then there's someone seeing it and think, oh yeah, we can copy that, and those are the two different products you end up with. So even if you actually put a brand new sleeve into this assembly, it's a lot better, but it's still nowhere near good enough for me, because you want that running true, because the last thing you want is a tail stripping out, because that wore all the gears badly. So anyway, that's my 5 cents worth. So I hope somebody kind of picks that up and runs with it. But yeah, no, it's a good little design that. That's actually pressed into the plastic gear of the auto gear, and it's a nice solid true setup. Excellent. Oh well, thanks for tuning in. We'll get into the head. Guys, Westy here. Hey listen, when you're installing a one-way gear assembly, you put your spacer in, which is down that gold spacer that you can see down in there, on top of the blue part there on top of the gear, and then you'll notice that you're going to have a bit of play here, okay? what you want to do is, if you notice at the top here I've got 2 grub screw holes in this shaft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this so that I've got no play, and then I'm going to nip up one grub screw, and then I'm going to put some thread lock on the other one, screw that in, screw this one out again, and then lock, put some thread lock on, and then re-lock that down. So what you should have is you should have no up and down radial play, and I'll just do that. Hang on a sec. I've taken the end float out of the shaft assembly, so when you move this shaft, try and pull it up and down. It won't. You have no end float, so you just basically, you don't compress it together. You take it up till there's no end float, and then you do your 2 grub screws up here and here. Okay, so now what we want to do is this new upgraded Align product that I'm using. If you remember before in one of my other videos, I showed about the excessive play in this inherent in the design in this setup. See how it's going like that, and it was basically wobbling backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. Not only does that make it noisier because it's not getting a good mesh with the drive gear at the back, the little white one in there, and here, that one in the back there, just down in here. Because it's wobbling around, it can actually cause vibration as well because it's flapping around. So a quick check to check that to see where yours is at is basically get the shaft when you've taken all your end float out. So before you put it apart, obviously I'll put this upgraded Align one in the HK450, and what you do is you basically get your finger on each side of it and just spin it around and see whether you're getting any movement at all or wobble at all. Okay, especially when you get it to the position like that, where you can see the screw down the bottom there that goes through the plastic gear right down there where my finger is. That's where it's going to pivot if it's not going to operate correctly. It's going to pretty much pivot across that centre because it's bolted through there but not in the side. So basically here I've got none at all. It's really, really good. So then what we can do is we can spin it up and see if you get any wobble. And as you can see, I've got no wobble there at all. It's actually perfectly aligned. Excuse the pun. So yeah, I ended up getting a genuine Align spacer like that, and it comes in a set of 2, part number HZ026T, and I've got some new Align shafts, main shafts, and this new assembly that you see here is an upgraded Align one. So they're really good. The design's completely different, as I was showing in one of my other videos, whereas this cheap design, it basically has nothing but plastic in the hole here, whereas the genuine Align ones, they've got an insert in here, a steel press fitted insert that goes into here, and it gives it a lot more rigidity through this here, and you don't get that wobble through there like I'm getting right there. That's really bad, and that's even with the old the original HK shaft. It actually improves a little bit when I put the genuine Align one in there, but it's still not good enough for me. So yeah, that's basically you're gonna get a lot of vibration and things like that when you have a wobble like that going on, especially at higher speeds, head speeds and stuff. So I'm happy with that now. So now I can start bolting all the head back on. Well, once I've actually stripped and inspected the head, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll get back to you and see how I go on with the head modifications. So thanks to the guy that sent me in this this heli. Here. Okay, here's a swash plate off a HK 450 Pro GT. I was assured by the customer who sent it to me that everything's been Loctited and it's ready to go, or thread locked. Now, lucky I have an inquisitive nature and have a great respect for high-speed rotating objects, and I kind of checked it a bit, and look what happened. Not a drop of Loctite on there. So basically this whole swash is going to get stripped down, and I'm going to put a all new thread lock on it. I'm also going to take the head completely apart and re-thread lock everything in there, check all the bearings, the feathering shaft, everything. So, you know, I can't test fly this machine with a guarantee that it's going to not fly to bits in the first 30 seconds, and it won't be due to piloting error, it will be due to pre-flight inspection issues. So if you're unsure of the quality or setup of a heli before someone says, hey, fly this, then either tell them that you don't, that unless you get to strip it and actually check it yourself, or unless you've seen it flying for a longer period than 5 or 10 minutes, I would steer away from that, and otherwise you're going to end up having to foot the bill and they're going to blame you. So just my 5 cents worth anyway. So yeah, I'm going to take all these ball joints off. I'm going to re-lubricate the swash bearings, top and bottom, and give it a squirt with brake clean to clean all any grit out of it, and then I'll put it all back together again. Cool. So yeah, so that's really all I'm doing. We'll check some of these other ones. Oh yeah, that's actually tight. That one, that's good. That one's tight. So you know, like here, that has, that's good. Yep. So some of it has been done, which is good. But if I hadn't checked it, yeah, I can feel the Loctite in there. If I hadn't checked that, that's the main pitch elevator control. That would have just wriggled out, and all of a sudden I would have had no elevator control at all. So I'm just going to put the little bit of thread lock on there, and then assemble it. So that's pretty much a 5-minute job. And that 5 seconds of checking kind of makes me want to check everything else. Just give it a tweak, make sure it's all sorted. Bit of a wipe. And now I'm going to just get some brake clean and give it a spray. Just to clean any pretty aggressive on your hands, so use gloves if you want to. Okay, so now I can actually put some 3-in-1 oil on there, and that should actually come up quite nice. So yeah, this is just part of what I do for checking customers' stuff out. Basically get right into it really, and make sure that they're going to get some reliability, well, as much as I can check anyway. So we'll just put some work that in. So it's a different machine now, so that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the head, and I'm going to strip the head down, take the blades off, so we'll put that aside. I'll take the blades off and strip it all down, and I'll inspect everything basically. Even though it feels like it's got no play in the feathering shaft or anything like that, I just want to make sure that every single screw, nut, bolt has been done correctly, so that it's, I mean, there's a lot of rotating parts in there, anything flies apart, and I've got to fit the bill, so I'm not prepared to do that, so I've got to be fussy. Remove the blades, and now I'm going to start taking all the washout base apart. Remove the fly bar, and then I'll start working on all the... Oh, actually I probably don't need to go quite that far. I can check all the bolts by hand just to check them all. So I'm just going to pop these links off. 2 feathering shaft links. Feels pretty good. Again, I'm going to check the ball joints on the blade grips. Yep, that's all Loctited up good. And that one's Loctited good. I can feel the resistance in the threads, which is excellent. Okay, so that's done. So I'm just going to work on the feathering shaft. And I'm turning the feathering shaft slowly by hand. And I'm looking for any movement this way or this way on the blade grips, because if it's got a bent feathering shaft, when you turn the centre screw, if it's bent, you will see them moving in and out. Okay, so that's a good way to check after a crash if you've ever had one fly to bits. So I've just got to get another Allen key for that, and I'll be right back. Got one Allen key in one end. Okay, and I can feel the Loctite in there, so I'm not going to bother going any further. I can feel the Loctite binding up when I'm just undo it about 1/16 of a turn. So I'll do that up again. And then just double check to make sure you've got freedom here. And I'm just going to put a little dab of 3-in-1 oil down into the bearing for the housings. Okay, and this end as well. Just a little dab, let it roll in. It feels heaps for you. Just amazing what a little bit of lubrication does. Okay, so we'll pop those joints back on again. Pop these ones back on again. Okay, so we're going to move down to the next set of screws. We'll do these ones here. The washout, we're going to have to take this screw off to actually get to the actual washout base. And it's all been Loctited pretty good. and I can see the Loctite in the back of that. That's really good. So we want to go through every single ball joint and every single linkage. So I'm going to do that and get back to you because it's too boring to watch. So just work from the top down, every single ball joint, every single linkage screw. Just make sure that they've been Loctited. Okay, I've finished checking out every single ball joint and screw, and I found 2 that had no Loctite on. So I've fixed all that up. Everything else is pretty good though, nice and free. So we're just going to put that on